What's up, bros and hoes, order flows you. It's Relentless here, bringing you yet another Division video. Hope you're just having a fantastic day. The holidays are here. If you're celebrating Thanksgiving, happy Turkey Day. If you are not, hope you're having a great and fantastic Thursday nonetheless. Ground and pound that like button if you happen to be new to the channel. Ground and pound that subscribe button and like button. And don't forget to turn on post notifications so that way you know each and every time a video goes up. That's that little bell up there, so trigger that thing. But anyways, without further ado, the reason for this video is there's so many misconceptions out there, and one saying that this is better than the other, and sometimes it comes down to player preferences, and that other times it's just, I guess, I don't know, someone trying to control, or they have been misled by other build videos from people out there, and it's just really irritating. So we're going to try to go over each and everything and the reasoning behind that and the best absolute way to have a Deadeye build. So without further ado, we'll hop right into it and stay tuned for the gameplay afterwards that actually will show you, and each individual little segment will have the attachments that I'm using, so that way you don't just see or hear, well, you don't just hear me say it, but you'll actually see it in action at the end. But let's hop right into it because I don't want to take up too much of your time, so I'll go over it really as fast as possible. I probably will trip over my words, and forgive me for that. I know it'll probably be funny to you, but I'm just trying not to take up too much of your time, but give you this vital information. Okay, there are several misconceptions out there on other content creators, and just because they have more subs doesn't mean they're right. Just throwing that out there. And this is the proper way to run a Deadeye 2-tap build. If you go on to a PvP Deadeye build, and instead of the Reckless chest piece, they have a specialized backpack, just turn it off. Just turn it off. And I would be suspect to watch any more of their build videos, because obviously they do not know what they're talking about. Because you're going to sacrifice 8% base damage over what little bit of skill power you get from specialized, all because you think you'll have a bigger heal or a greater pulse. Okay, with a minuscule pulse, or not even taking in pulse into consideration, or hitting a booster with no skills whatsoever. Have you seen any of my gameplay using the Deadeye build? You will notice that lots of times that my skills are on cooldown and I 2-tap without it. So to try to make the argument that Specialized is better over the 8k base damage, and then you have to, be reliant upon, when your skills are on and off cooldown, it's just really retarded. I mean, it might not be politically correct to use that term, but yeah, it is completely stupid and retarded to put a Specialized backpack here. So if you, like I said, if you see a video that has a Specialized backpack on a Deadeye build, just click it off, turn away, comment saying you don't know what you're talking about, do whatever you gotta do, but just, no. If they do that, then it's no point in watching the rest of the build. You want everything rolled to firearms. And to get a little bit additional skill power, but like I said, it doesn't really matter, but if you want the most bang for your buck, more or less, then in the mod slots to your gear pieces, put firearms and skill power. But here is where I differ from even that. If you look at the Bob Lee Swagger build, it's basically the same build as this with a little minuscule differences. Okay, the differences are the mods, and that one I'm using firearms and stamina. The reason for that being, when rushed, and you will get rushed in PvP in the DZ with Deadeye, because once you 2-tap one, then they're going to look for you and try to take you out first. Okay, so that, I mean, that's no surprise there. So I'd rather be a little bit more tanky, and that they'll usually just send one thinking, oh well, that dude will be able to take care of him, and then we can use the other three, and it'll be a 3-on-3 like it is, like it typically is anyways, with a Deadeye sitting in the back. Okay, well, I save and hold on to my tack link unless my teammates absolutely have to have it, so that way when I'm rushed I can pop it. And with over 10k firearms, you're going to completely melt them, and it does throw them for a loop and surprise, but they will get shots on you. So the difference is to 315k toughness versus what you see here at 206k. That's almost 20k toughness and stamina and health. So that right there alone can make the difference. And as you've seen in plenty of my PvP videos, that 20k toughness does come in handy. Whether it be NPCs tagging you in the back while you're trying to PvP, you can stay up longer, take more damage, and also, you might be one shot or two shot and be that low in health, and with only 296k toughness, the next bullet is going to down you and pretty much kill you. But at least with that extra 20k, it's going to take an additional one or two more bullets to take you down, and that could mean all the difference, especially if you're only one bullet yourself away from downing them and surviving the whole entire gunfight. So that's my line of thinking. Okay, let's move on to the major attributes of each individual piece. My personal preference is enemy armor damage and health in the major attributes, and as always, minor would be ammo capacity. This is a reckless chest piece I just acquired. I'm still in the middle of getting the div tech, of getting it all optimized. But as you can see on this other one that I have, it's completely optimized, but it has skill haste, health, and ammo capacity. If I could just change that skill haste to enemy armor damage, that would be the bee's knees, the perfect setup right there. So in the majors, you want enemy armor damage, health, and the minors ammo capacity, and it rolled to firearms, okay? Moving on to the mask. As you can see also, enemy armor damage in the majors, it rolled to firearms. Personal preference, whether it be firearms and skill power or firearms and health. I have a mixture of both. Moving on to the knee pads. You definitely always want crit hit damage in the majors on your knees. And the minors, to deal with the extra NPCs that might be, annoying you and tagging you like fleas and mosquitoes in your back, then just throw on and have the damage to elites on there. It does help out, but it's not absolutely necessary if you're basically just PvPing with this build. Skill power, and then when you are able to use performance mods, then you want the pulse crit hit damage. As you can see, I have them in my knee pads and my backpack, and then on my holster, that'll be 8% more crit hit damage. On your backpack, you always want to have crit hit damage. Ammo capacity and minors if possible. But it rolled to firearms. And as you can see, I had firearms and skill power with the 2% pulse crit hit damage. Now moving on to the gloves. The trifecta normally would be the base damage for whatever weapon type you're using. Then you crit hit damage and crit hit chance. For Deadeye, you want the enemy armor damage, the marksman rifle damage, and the crit hit damage. That's how you want your gloves. Also roll to firearms. And here's another misconception, and also it's personal preference, but as one that constantly uses this build, and don't just throw it together to make a build video just for the sake of views. As you see, everything maxed out besides that 1% or 1 point on the health. I'm not going to waste the 50 div tech for that 1 point. It doesn't matter. But in the majors, some people put crit chance, health, but what is going to be most beneficial during PvP? It's going to be the reload speed, because once you have to reload, the less time it's going to take you to reload can mean the difference between downing someone and them getting too close to where you're unable to land that next final downing blow. So, in my opinion, the best in slot here would be the reload speed. Okay, we went over the gears mods, all that. Quick recap, everything to firearms, crit damage on your backpack, knee pads, enemy armor damage on your gloves, along with crit damage and marksman rifle damage, reload speed on your holster, on your mask, also enemy armor damage on your chest piece, enemy armor damage and health. Firearms mod with either skill power or health in the mod slots. And that pretty much sums it up for the gear itself. Now to the weapons, it's an ongoing debate. Some will always say, why are you using a custom M44? The M700 carbon is stronger. Let's take a look at that. 183k base damage, fully optimized. M700 carbon. 185k base damage, fully optimized. That's a 2k difference. Two-tapping someone, that 2k is insignificant, irrelevant, and doesn't really matter. It's a personal preference. They're basically identical guns. If you want to go on pure stat-wise, the M700 carbon barely edges it out only due to the fact of that little 2k more base damage. And then of course the magazine size itself, you see 14 versus 11. And then when it comes to the RPMs, then when RPMs, the custom M44 edges out that by 1 point. But for me, when using either or, it's all about the smoothness and the action of when it comes to reloading, because of the bolt action, you have to bolt another bullet into the chamber. It's just a lot smoother and reacts faster for me. But whichever you prefer, whether it be the M700 Carbon or the custom M44, is basically the same identical gun. One is not necessarily better than the other, and both 2-tap nonetheless. But let's go over the custom M44 and the M700 Carbon. No matter which one you're using, you want these talents: prepared, deadly, and competent. Okay, magazine size, you want the magazine size, crit damage, and the rate of fire. Ongoing many comments on as far as the optics you should use. I prefer the C79 scope with the crit damage, optimum range, and crit chance. Okay, and let me go over the reasoning behind this. Some will say, well, you can actually see your target better with a 15-time scope. Okay, well, I already have one on the M700 Carbon. Yes, you can. And as you can hear my joysticks, you do have faster crosshair movement. But when you got people zigzagging, it's a lot easier at that far of range to actually hit somebody, because you have to follow them, track them, and lots of times with that movement you will overcompensate or just undercompensate just a little bit. So the tracking of players coming in on you, or if they're in a PvP battle up here, then it's harder with them moving to stay really on point and attract them effectively, just because you are moving so fast. Now if they're rushing in and closer to you, the closer they get, the harder it becomes, because basically you don't see nothing but more or less their chest, their knees, or their toes, and it'd be very hard to hit them. Okay, now let's go to my favorite, the C79. You can still see them and hit them at range. You are more up close, but as you'll see in gameplay, if I can 2-tap a D3 in his toes, remember that, in his toes, and be able to see his toes at 200 meters, then that argument is really irrelevant. Now if they're back there hugging that 18-wheeler back there, as you can see, I can still hit them in between the bumper, regardless whether you're this far back and using a 15 times or a C79 scope. But the key thing is, as they're rushing up through here, I can still see their whole entire body, can see them adjusting whether they're zigzagging left or right, versus the 15 time scope, I'm dead in their chest or looking at their kneecaps or the hair on the top of their toes. You can't really see them that well when they're rushing in. So it puts yourself at a disadvantage, and you will be rushed. On the other thing, the crosshairs move a little bit slower, so you're better to track them with, and you don't overcompensate. So to me, you will be more accurate and more precise in your shots. So being able to see farther up close, unless your eyes are really, really bad and need that, the argument there is irrelevant. So I'm going to go ahead and say, hands down, C79 scope wins over. The VX1, the VX1 scope, the 12 times, it's geared to headshot damage. There's this particular scope here. It's let's see, what is that? It's the MK5 scope. It is geared to headshot damage. Those are only beneficial. Well, it's beneficial in both, but primarily they would be used in Sentry or Hunter Fates builds. Something geared more or less to headshot damage. There is, I believe it's an M5A2 scope that is a 15 times. That is basically the same identical scope, except for you have crit damage instead of headshot damage. But as far as the way it looks when scoped in, its movements and everything is identically the same. But the M5A2 or whatever, That scope will be in the gameplay, and you'll be actually be able to see that in action and how it is used. So, back to it. Let's recap. C79 scope, best in slot. Magazine best in slot is magazine size, the crit damage, and the rate of fire. So that way you can land more shots faster, and due to the bolt action animation and whatnot, when in cover, it makes it a lot easier, and you can double tap really, really quickly. Underbarrel, it is the small grip. You get the crit hit damage, now you see optimal range and reload speed. Now, if you are wanting to hit way, 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 way deep targets, now as you can see with all the optimal range I have stacked on currently, 214 feet, okay? At 214 feet, beyond that, you have significant damage drop-off. Now you see I do have optimal range in all three, the 4.5%. But beyond that, the damage drop-off is significant. Hitting from this range, as you'll see in the gameplay, I'm hitting 40k harder beyond that my optimal range due to just changing out one thing. And before the comments start, I know what you're going to say, but Relentless, you're losing 19% crit damage, or if they notice the 4% crit damage on this, you're losing 15% crit damage. Okay, well, as you see in the gameplay, even though I'm losing 15% crit hit damage, the damage drop off of that 15% crit hit damage is irrelevant, because I'm actually hitting 40k harder beyond that 213 feet with just switching to an optimal range foliage green vertical grip. As you can see, 48% optimal range. So we go from 213. Okay, I didn't actually change it. Sorry about that. It's the holidays, brah. But you're going from 213, right? What? Okay, division. Stop trolling me. Dang it. Okay, 213 feet range to 309 feet. So at 309 feet, you're still going to be hitting for 40k more than you would normally. If you plan on and setting yourself up for really, really, really long snipes, and you just want to put together your top 10 or see how far you can actually two-tap someone from, then this is the attachment you would want on whichever it be the custom or the M700. So if you want to get the most bang from range out of your buck, don't worry about losing the 15% crit hit damage that you would lose for the typical underbarrel, and go with the optimal range, in this case the 48% one, and you can boost it up to 309 feet, and you'll be hitting a lot harder due to the damage drop off from your optimal range. So quick recap: best in slot for long super duper range would be this underbarrel, the vertical grip foliage green. I think it comes in different colors, but it's the large underbarrel, 48% optimal range, stability, and create damage. If you're going to stick to around your typical range of the 213 or so, then you want your standard small grip, red or whatever color it may be, with create damage, optimal range, and the reload speed. Now on to the suppressors. You can go with the loud bend break if you want to. Just make sure you have optimal range and crit damage on it. If you don't have anything else, but just know with NPCs are around, your threat detection is up quite a bit. But I just like the sound it makes, especially on replay when slowing it down. You hear that doosh. So that's why I mainly use it in the videos. It's just for the sound of the gun it actually makes. But in all seriousness, with the threat level and whatnot, and if you want to be more silent, more or less a silent assassin, then you want to go with the SR7 suppressor, which has crit damage, crit chance, and the optimal range. If you're a Hunter's Faith or Sentry, then you want to go with the Amigo rifle suppressor. As you can see, it's more geared to the headshot damage. and the VX1 and the MK scope is also geared to headshot damage versus the crit damage. So stack as much crit damage as possible. Know your limits of your build and the range of it. And a quick way to do that, if you want to do what I did to find out your optimal range, exactly what it looks like on a map, go in here to DZ1. I'll zoom in, and you'll see this on the gameplay at the end. From right here, the entrance of the underground to the containers over here, okay? It's, I think around 300. And go like I did, as you'll see in the gameplay. Don't take or see my word for it as the video proof. But do it yourself, and you can actually firsthand be a witness to it. Use the Humvee back here. You'll see the Humvee, the front of it, as your starting point. Put you a waypoint on there, and then when you go over here, as you get there, you will look and you'll see exactly how far you are away. Now you can do this basically anywhere. This is just the easiest place for me. And plus, I mean, while I'm doing that, I get the DZPD after me, so it's good two-tapping them as they are running around this barrier. And it's the best prime example that you can, situation that you can put yourself in to better your aim and tracking NPCs and players, and to see which works out best for you. With the 48% optimal range at this right here, I was hitting 40k more. But when they reached up here, let's say where the extraction area is, or like the tents here, then the typical Deadeye with the C79 scope would be better because you're still within your optimal range. So basically from the extraction area to way back here where the Humvees are, you'll see that right here on the street corner, and the entrance of the underground will be outside my optimal range. Now you can ask yourself, well, you know, they're mostly, when they start pushing up and rushing, then my best optimal range is in this area. That may be true, but they have to make it there first. So they can cut through and cut behind, you know, the vehicle and the little tower here, or they can try to cut through right side of the tents over in this area and come up that way. But as you can see in the gameplay, they don't make it. So it's based on personal preference on what you want to do most. If you're specifically a DZ PD and are just wanting to two-tap manhunts and rogues and whatnot, then you probably want to go with the optimal range, so that way you are further away from your target and don't have to worry about, you know, dying so fast when they all rush you. You're creating enough space to inflict enough damage from that distance to where you can down them and get away, and none are the wiser. And plus there's a lot more cover and you're harder to be seen at that range. So if you are the fuzz, then go with the underbarrel that gives you the 48% optimal range. If you are a PvPer like I am and you're mainly the one manhunt or rogue, then it's more or less personal preference on where you plan on fighting it out. If you're planning to do it on certain areas and situations, know your surroundings, know where they can take cover from, where they're going to come out at, and strategically place your team to more or less support you. Because you can say, well, they're doing more work. Not necessarily. I mean, let's say if they come out this way and your team is pushed up over here, then you're more or less forcing them out of cover by using your teammates, like with their grenades or whatnot, and forcing them out into cover, out into the streets, so that way you can land your shots. Same way with the tents over here. Same philosophy. Group up on one side, it forces the enemy agents coming after you while rogue to go to the other. Same philosophies in PvP. Somebody's posted up and you're up close in a gunfight, throw a grenade to one side of whatever they're posting up on, and go hard ADS and be ADS'd in on the other side. So either they're going to take grenade damage, or they're going to pop out the other side and you can focus them down. Same principle. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. Enjoyed the gameplay. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And don't forget, we still have that giveaway going on at 1,800 subs. We'll be giving away a Scuff controller, a $250 value. It's an awesome controller. Don't have to worry about taking your thumbs off the joysticks. If you don't know anything about Scuff controllers, then go to scuff.com and check them out and read all the reviews. And all the pro players of all the major games on consoles use Scuff. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys fudging later. Oh, he's just waiting in the checkpoint. Yep, here he is.
Here he comes.
Told you.
Okay, he just shot me through the
Sign.
I see it. I got him now. I hit him twice. I was aimed too high.
Oh, he did.
Alright. There. Yeah, see. Yeah, that's right. Come out there a little bit further.
Relentless behind you.
Where?
NPC.
Oh, no, I got a
Oh,
player.
no, you got a player. Run. Coming. Here's the blue.
Trying to aim in your chest. So that way
Yeah.
I didn't get like hit one in your chest and then hit one in the head and give a false impression. Yeah,
I hear you.
let me put the waypoint back so it's still on there. Alright, on as far as the distance. Yeah, I marked it as I was going past it, and now it says 329 from where you were standing at. Alright, where is that? Alright. Normal. If I can actually hit him.
You ain't. He hit me that time. A little bit.
Is 66. And 67. Now switching to the optimal range. Alright, there's two dummies there. One dummy, other dummy. Alright, 83. Alright, so